Alright, so for our belt gear, what we're going to do is something cheap. We got these tape measure holders. They cost about $9 at Canadian Tire. We're going to quickly go through and mod them up. The first thing is that we're using these because they look so close to the belt gizmo holders. If you want a belt gizmo holder, if you want to make it screen accurate, you cut the strap off and you trim this bottom off, and then it's perfectly screen accurate so long as you dye it black after. You can dye it black so long as the leather isn't fixed. I'm also going to be turning this into this one into a PKE meter holster, and for your belt leg hose tubing, attaching it to the belt, I want something that looks a little more professional, so I bought a third one just because I want the straps to go through the belt here, and I'm going to be drilling through and making an attachment for this. I'll do that later. Got my PKE meter here. Hopefully I'll measure it and see if the strap works. I'll probably have to cut the strap off. Really what I want to do is just make this hole bigger so that the meter will slide right through. I've got a rough idea about the size. Okay, so now that I've got all of this cut off, I'm going to smoothen up this line here with my Dremel tool. Always, of course, remember your safety glasses. This leather shouldn't kick too much back, but better safe than sorry. So, coming in. So basically, just take all of your burrs off and sand it down into something smooth and professional looking. And be sure to vacuum all of this up later so that your wife doesn't complain. Alright, but in the end you'll have one PKE meter. Alright, so as I said before, let's work on the connection to your belt leg hose, radiation shielding and inflow thing. So really all I want out of here is this part that hooks up to the belt, because I don't want to use a fob on my leg hose thing. I want something that looks a little more mechanical. So, alright, so I'm going to have to plan my cuts on this very carefully. So I got my measurement here, my ruler here. I'm going to go metric because I always like to keep it nice and even. I'll go about 4 centimeters long for this angle. Seems pretty reasonable. And I'll put the top of that one at about 11 centimeters from the very bottom of this. Alright, so because the leather is all curved here, I've just got a little piece of cardboard that I'm going to use as a straight edge. That's about parallel to the bottom. So, okay. Okay, now I've got a symmetrical piece. I should probably polish this up or whatever, but I'll be putting this on the back of my belt to use as my leg hose connection. So my leg hose is going to connect up like that. Okay, so here we are on my messy workbench. Here's the metal that we're going to be cutting. Now, as I said, it's better if you have some diesel oil to cut through. It'll help on the metal. If you have a punch to start on, just punch it in. That'll help hold your drill bit in spot. I don't have one of those punches here. I'm going to just make a little mark with my saw just to get it started. Now you want to hold this still. If I really got to get a vise for this bench, a vise can be priceless. So Make sure that you're holding this still, and a variable speed drill helps. Start slow and work your way up once you've got your hole going. And start with a smaller drill bit and work your way up to the bolt size that you're looking for. Okay, that'll really help go through the metal. And of course, watch your fingers and wear your safety glasses, especially working with the metal. All right. Oh, where was my mark? Right there. So yeah, I've drilled my hole through here, and it goes right through the other side. So right now I'm just progressing up to the bigger drill bits until eventually when I reach my bolt size and knock everything else off my bench. Okay, so the holes are drilled, both sides. My bolt fits in snugly, it'll go all the way through. You want to make sure that it's long enough to go all the way through the tubing and your belty thingy. Now I eyeballed where my hole was, so I got a cut on this side to cut it off the tube, and the hole is 3 centimeters from the end. So let's mark 3 centimeters on this end, and let's cut there, and then we'll have some symmetry instead of being completely eyeballed. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we got a few options here. We need a hole to attach our tubing thingy into our belt attachment. Now we could either use this hole and have it on the belt either high or low, or we could put another hole in right in the center and have it structurally sound and stable. Let's measure out a good spot for a hole. So 12 centimeters, we're at about 6. And 6 centimeters at about 3. Now I could either use a hole punch and punch through the leather, which would involve my pulling out my hole punch and a hammer, which I hate to do, or I could just use a power tool and drill a hole through. I'll do that. Oh yeah, and remember your safety glasses. Not that it's serious, but yeah, whatever. There we go. Alright, so now my washer will go on the back end, and then this will go on the front. I'm going to dye my leather now, and then I'm just going to build something that looks technological. Something that will look like it's coiled and act like a induction system to get power from the proton pack and generate radiation shielding gas that can be fed through the leg hose into the suit. And that'll be that.